has given us surprise heroes to root for heading into the knockout stage. Time to see who takes the 4 remaining spots for the next round as SuperMassive and G2 Esports gear up for our first game. There we see Vedius is gonna give the camera a little wave and a decked out jacket. There we go. Also the murals up in LoL Park. Good luck, have fun, GG. All important things that I hope everyone will be saying as they go into game today. And welcome everyone at home as well to day 4 of the play-in stage. I'm EpicSkillshot supporter, joined by Barento Raz Mohammed and Mark Zimmerman for the countdown. Day 4, let's go.
I'm really nervous today just because the first match is so important for how the rest of the day shakes out that, like, I just want to get there as fast as we can.
It's the final day of groups, or at least just the group stage. I'm so excited just to see what we end up getting for our best of 5s.
Me too. Let's see then. It is all on the line. But yesterday, of course, heading into the last day of play-ins before that, G-Rex also qualified for the next round with Cloud9, Gambit Esports, and Detonation FocusMe. They secured their spot in the knockout stage with all the other teams looking to follow today. There we go then. Well, if we talk about a couple of the things that happened yesterday, I'd love to start with G-Rex. Changing the story, possibly, of the LMS's 3rd seed. I think we definitely undervalued them coming into the tournament, but they are the rightful undefeated team in that group.
Yeah, dominating performance going up against both Gambit and KLG. The expectations that you already mentioned coming in from the LMS is that they were having a shaky year. This last split was their worst one, but they come in empty. That we already said that was looking the weakest of the 4. We didn't see too much of him, and then he comes in and then just has the best performance out of all of them.
Yeah, MT together with Candy, I think the individual performances, but also just the way they approached the games as a team, they were bulldozing through those games.
Yeah, and they did it with a couple different looks as well. So when you start talking about this knockout stage and how they're looking, they look super hard to prep for because you don't know if you're going to get this kind of controlled game plan or if they start breaking out the Yasuo again in the mid lane, and that makes it a bit of a nightmare matchup for a lot of these teams.
Very difficult one to go up against. The same can be said for C9. They also went 4-0. I think the NALCS representative came to do what they had to do. And when you talk about kind of different styles, I also love that Cloud9 did also try some different things throughout these games.
Yeah, and it was the expected outcome, the 4-0, but not quite as clean as a lot of people were expecting. And the styles that they did try out looked kind of definitively worse than what we're used to seeing out of them. So I think a lot of NA fans are happy to see them get through as the #1 seed, but are still kind of looking for more out of this team.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the team themselves are very hard on themselves. So you look on Twitter, Zazel's tweet, or just the face of Reaper. All you need to see is look at his face, and you know that they expect more out of themselves.
So you, as the expert from the NALCS, when C9 goes into these best of 5s and possibly also the group stage, do you want to see them just always go back to what worked for them in the gauntlet and in the season?
I think that's kind of what I wouldn't mind seeing because on the one hand, you're not showing anything new that people wouldn't have prepped for. And at the same time, I think it's what you play best at and getting stage experience, executing on these comps that when push comes to shove, you'll be playing anyways. Like, I think that's what I would prefer to see.
Well, they have a day to recoup and to think of the strategies, and they should be the absolute favorite going into any best of 5. But another big story, and maybe one of my favorite ones coming out of all the play-ins so far, is Detonation FocusMe exceeding expectations. The LGL representative from one of the smallest servers in the world. This team has been around forever, manages to qualify for the next round in an international stage for the first time ever.
Veteran players off of Utapon and Saros too. You can see them. The emotions are there from these players because going through event after event, year after year, having to, I would say, failures in your own region, getting to that best of 5 and always coming short, but then you finally get to the international level and exceed, I already mentioned it, exceeding all expectations and getting to the best of 5. It's incredible for them.
Yeah, and I think as well as Evie coming over, like I keep talking about him just because he was such a monster, and like I think without him, this team probably would not have been able to achieve as much as they have. And so he, for me, has been one of the stars on the squad.
Yeah, and with victories come emotions, and I think we saw maybe the most beautiful outburst of emotion I've seen in many years. This is when some of the Japanese commentators saw Detonation FocusMe qualify yesterday. Oh, that is so good.
It's so cool to see it go from like the initial like elation, like we did it, to like kind of the moment where it sets in and realize that like we're actually doing it. We're making a huge impression on the world stage.
Because you can set up the building blocks. For these players, they say they have excellent players. You already mentioned Evie. Utapon exceeding expectations in the bottom lane. But then when they all come together and they can get that success, the results are coming through in the tiebreaker, that's what really settles it.
Yeah, you can also find a full clip on Twitter somewhere. It's really cool. It's almost like a movie, how it builds up and then the winning moment finally comes. We maybe didn't know how good Detonation FocusMe was going to be, but one person that's always had faith in the Japanese representatives is Andrew Vedius Day. He is the biggest LGL fan in the world. He not only correctly predicted their victory yesterday, but he has predicted the LGS success for the last few years. He's always been a big fan. One of the tweets we see right there, this was Rampage 2017.
Yeah, that's my problem, though. That's predicting Rampage in 2017. He's been doing this for like 2 years, the last 4 international, tournaments for the LJL, and
What's your point?
Is it even a prediction if you're literally just saying they're going to win every time and they don't? Is Freak going to be?
That's what you do with NA.
Let's not talk about NA. We're talking about the Vedius tweet who's getting props right now. Is Freak going to get credit for tweeting every single team is going to win World's bold prediction this year? Are we going to give him credit when he gets that one right? That's basically what we're doing here,
Even a broken clock is right 2 times.
Broken clock's right twice a day. Blind dog finds a bone. And apparently Vedius can sometimes predict a game.
Listen, it wouldn't be fair to just let Marks call Vedius out without Vedius responding. So let's head over to the caster deck and see what Vedius has to say.
Listen, Mr. Zimmerman. Were the CLG fans ever mocked for believing? No. Were the Fnatic faithful fans ever mocked for believing that the Worlds Run could happen last year? No. I am part of the Detonation determined squad that believed that one day Japan would finally exceed these expectations and overcome all challenges, and I will forever be a fan of the LGL. Mark Zimmerman, you just have lost the faith. I will never give up on the LGL.
Oh, you just called it out.
Small correction. All those teams were, in fact, mocked for keeping their 4 over the time. It's fine to have the faith. I applaud the faith, I guess, Vedius, but definitely not quite a prediction.
Does this disqualify him from having faith in any other region? Because I kind of feel like he's selling out, EU that he's been captain
you
the whole
can't have
time.
faith in every region.
It's like it's the same. If you bet on every horse, one's going to win.
One god.
Yeah.
The EU god.
But hey, I think we can all agree that we're very happy for Detonation FocusMe that they advanced, so that's awesome. Now, C9 also had a fantastic run, and after all the action, Avali did get a word in with Sneaky on where his team needs to improve heading into the knockout stage.
I'm here with Sneaky, the AD carry for Cloud9, who just ended day 3 of play-ins going undefeated. Now, what were your thoughts about the team's performance?
I think we played okay. There's a lot of stuff that felt a whole lot more awkward to us, maybe the spectators could see, but in general, it felt a lot harder for us to get advantages, and we kind of just waited a bit on them to mess up, and we kept getting picked a lot. So those are a lot of things we need to work on.
So I just spoke with Reapert, and I asked him about what he thought about the team's performance, and he was not too happy. He said that there's a lot of stuff that you guys need to maybe address and fix before knockouts. But what do you really think of the team's current status?
Yeah, like I said, I think we're doing okay. There are some core problems that do make the games just feel like we can't really start anything, and it's hard to really pinpoint exactly what that is. It's been the same way every single game we played, I think, where we kind of just wait around for them to make a mistake. So yeah, I think we're doing all right, but we'll need to step it up if you want to even get into the World's group stage.
You have a couple days to kind of iron out any of those problems, but kind of going into the knockout stages, are there any teams that you want to go up against or maybe are avoiding?
Well, I don't think we'll play them. I don't know if they're secured for seed, but EDG for sure. I wouldn't want to play them. And yeah, I'm pretty much happy with playing anyone else, honestly.
What about G2?
Yeah, I'd be okay with playing G2. I wouldn't ideally want to, but I think we could beat them for sure.
Well, Sneaky, thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck. That's it for us here. Back to you.
Yeah, I love that you asked about G2. I always get flamed when I try to get out the other, but I think it's valid. Some of us are thinking about that matchup to possibly happen, and we also wanted to look at some of the scenarios that would happen now that we know our #1 seeds coming from Group C and D, a possible C9 G2 on the cards, who knows? So what we did is we looked deep within ourselves to see what the dream scenario would be for respectively our regions, and then Raz is just going off the handle and picking his own dream scenario. So for an NALCS, Mark, what do you want to see happen?
So this is the best situation you can hope for as an NA fan. We'll pull up the matchups that we're looking for. We actually want G2 to finish second today. and that will allow them to go up against EDG. But we want the upsets across the board, basically. You
Oh my
basically see
God.
everyone aside for C9
My God, what have you
losing.
done?
All
Wait,
the number one
Dire
pool
Wolves
schools.
beat SuperMassive?
Direwolves win. Detonation beats G-Rex. All these upsets because what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the easiest group stages as well for NA fans. So
Okay.
this is one of the potential groups that can come from those outcomes. One, Cloud9 goes into Group A.
Yeah.
Because they have to go between Group A and Group B, and you're definitely taking Group A. Group B, Detonation, sorry, guys kind of led to the slaughter there. In the bot side, G2 is probably the easiest team you can get in Group C for Team Liquid, which is also not bad for G2. And then in Group D, you do not get G-Rex in there. You get Direwolves, much easier for 100
Ooh.
and also Fnatic.
That is so ambitious, though. Like, you're expecting a lot of, like...
I didn't say expecting.
In 3 days, oh wait, that would be your dream. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
a dream.
Okay, this
It
is
is
like
a
the
dream.
scenario. So what is
It's
the
more
nightmare?
Martin's dream.
The nightmare is if everything goes according to plan. All the number one pool teams get out. G2 actually ends up rallying here today. That puts C9 in the B group, which we don't want. We don't want G-Rex against 100 Thieves because they actually look pretty scary, and that's where the wild card, or the emerging region most likely would come from if SuperMassive upsets. They go in there potentially as well. So, like, there's some really scary stuff here, and I just am trying to avoid all that.
All right. Well, when I thought about the chances of EU and then G2, it is a dream, but it is also not that unrealistic in terms of the other results. I think G2 getting first seed is part of that dream, which is going to be extremely difficult. But if they do it, to be drawn against Gambit or Direwolves, I think is their best matchups, and everyone agrees on that. But for me, then I have everything playing out as it would. Like the favorites.
I just appreciate this.
This one, SuperMassive versus EDG.
That would be a really fun best of 5.
Exactly. And then in the end, what would happen is G2 would be slotted into Group C, which I think is just a really fun group as well. And for G2, this is a hard group, obviously, with KT and Team Liquid and Mad. But whenever they've been at Worlds, they've been in groups with RNG and with Samsung. So maybe for them, this is like a cakewalk. Probably not. So I also thought about my nightmare scenario, but I wanted to put a twist on it. And I want to do the meme dream. So
Okay.
the meme dream is this. G2 gets second seed, get drawn versus Cloud9, reverse sweep Cloud9 to advance to the group stage, get placed in Group C because everything else goes as planned, and play out the group stage and end on a tiebreaker against Team Liquid, which they win to advance to quarterfinals. That is Reddit implosion. Twitter is
Link
just
it.
offline.
That's EU
Flip it.
over NA for the rest of all time.
Yeah,
it's a death sentence for NA.
That's why it's a meme dream, guys. All right.
fun. I'll give you that.
Ras, what do you envision? What's your dream?
I just wanted to ride that SuperMassive train a little bit further because you had them out to slaughter versus EDG. But what I feel is far more likely is that they get out of groups at first seed. G2 gets the worst draw you can. And remember, what people believe is going to happen is that they believe that Cloud9 is going to be drawn into Group B, and they see G-Rex getting drawn into Group D. But if G2 is not even in the picture, if that's not going to happen, suddenly Cloud9 get a far easier group for them. Like, they're out of this one. G-Rex gets kicked out to Group B, and then you see SuperMassive now put in the group at the 100 Thieves, Fnatic, who comes out ahead. I think so.
For you, that's actually also very good.
I take this for the most part. It does put EDG versus Team Liquid, but at least C9 is not in the group of death. They have a chance to get out.
And
now.
it all
Yeah, I'm
depends
sorry,
on just
Team
G2
Liquid.
getting second seed and not advancing is basically the best cards for NA, Poetic, and
Yep.
maybe also Apt. So we'll see which, if any, of those scenarios will play out as we look at our schedule for today. Quite the clash straight off the bat. G2 and SuperMassive for the money. If SuperMassive win, they are first seed. Followed by Infinity versus EDG, and also importantly, in the 4 matches following that for the Direwolves, Surenfire is back.
Surenfire is back, and the fact that he's back and they already have that one victory means so much to the team that it's just that easier. You have to go up against Infinity one more time. You have to take that victory. You lock yourself that spot. But the first game, man, is what you're looking for.
All Western fans, whether NA or EU, should absolutely be following G2's story throughout the day. Not just if they win here, they have to go then probably into tiebreakers and
Yes.
stuff like that. So much is on the line right now.
Yeah, and any tiebreakers will be played after the last game concludes. We're going to step away for just a couple of minutes, but after the break, we will give out honors to some players competing today and look ahead towards the rematch in Game 1, G2 Esports versus SuperMassive. If you think it might be impossible for G2, I want to remind you of something through the MasterCard priceless moment. This is where Fnatic at the 11th hour mounted a comeback on their final day of the World's Group Stage in 2017. Let's take a look.
Both of these teams starting their week off with a loss makes this matchup all that much more important.
Maybe with 45 seconds on Baron. Oh, play both the storm. There's the ultimate. The instant blood breakers. Fudge is in there. Oh no! He does get knocked up. Gurney's done. Out and taken down. This late in the game, plays that make the definitive statement. And now it's going to be Immortals with a huge power play.
And even though we are 0-3 right now, if we managed to make it out, it would be the miracle run. If we were to try our hardest and get out of groups and somehow turn it all around, then it would be the best ever.
Who is going to make it out of Group B? If Fnatic dropped this game 0-5 is an unrecoverable scoreline. Do they have the damage rolls? Must go big. Shockwave, Kenya's reckless. Now on the necklace they're going. Do they have the damage output? The hits are coming in. Is it going to be the game? Fnatic looking to knock him down. Will they get Soa? He's trying. It's the game. Fnatic 1-4, the knockdown Immortals. Fnatic leap forward. Broxy gets the kill on the Kane and everybody's flashed in. Archie, the only one left is Broxa. Finds the final execute with the ulti. And Fnatic, they needed to win and they have done it. Nicholas getting aggressive, jumps forward towards the Immortals and Soa just eats away. Gets the kill. Cody caught by a rupture. That's going to be it. Fnatic push through, take down the Nexus and look to make world's history as they go up against once more the Gigabyte Marine. In again, say it, shot to make but the Nexus is open, no way, makes his way back in, but he's not gonna do it. Captain's a clutch play, and Fnatic do the unthinkable and make their way to the quarterfinals.
No one in this group stage format has come back from an 0-3, let alone an 0-4.
In mid-air, no mercy for the Direwolves.
Gangos is already over. Smite's coming down after 1,000 health. That's going to be G2's Baron. G2 Esports take down Ascension Gaming. Ooh, Ignite down, more hits. The GBM ticking down.
2v1 outplay out of G4, just no fear at all.
Zeitnot and Snowflower as they look to get the base in favor of SuperMassive, who are now 2-0 in the play-ins.
Welcome back, everyone, to World's Countdown, where we're about 8 minutes away from Champion Select for Supermassive versus G2. And before we get to the matchup specifically, we also wanted to give out some honors, just like you can give honors to teammates after a long solo queue match. We wanted to give out GG Heart, Stayed Cooled, and great shot calling honors to a couple of standout players who are competing today. First up, GG Heart wasn't the hardest to, I think, decide. EDG's mid laner Scout, he's had a phenomenal split, and he's had a phenomenal first day of games as well.
Yeah, I remember this first game coming into this one. He just absolutely blasted Infinity's mid laner. So for him, coming in there, keeping calm, nothing being said out of them, just solo kills.
Yeah, this is the kind of award you give when that guy shows up in your game, doesn't type anything the whole time, brutalizes his lane. You say, thanks for the free LP, and hope you bump into him again.
Be on your way. Second award we have to give out, or honor we have to give out, is Stayed Cool. Do we have any options for that?
I think we got to give it to Udasoft of the Direwolves, but honestly, probably to the entire team, too.
I love that picture.
I mean, he had to come into a very tough situation, kind of subbed in with no real time to prepare, and some of the plays he made were big question marks showing on wards before he went to go, running through plays, being in vision, not on top of wards, so he gets counter ganks. And to be fair, they bounced back from that kind of stuff, not just him, but the entire team.
Yeah, he himself had positive personality, you can already tell, so he just, got himself carried through those games.
Yeah.
Came in learning while just waiting on Turnfire to come back for the squad. So there we have it. Congratulations coming through. And they got that one win. They need that one win, and now they're going to be going up against Infinity later today.
Let's be honest here. If I was called up as being a challenger player for like most of my career and have never really played on the big stage, I need to fly down, play on the World Championship versus EDG, I might as well, soiled myself or something. Like he he stepped on stage and he died, but he recovered and he came back and he won a game with the team. I think he deserves a lot of praise for the Direwolves. No comment?
Yeah, well, I agree.
I agree.
I've never soiled myself playing the League of Legends match either.
Good to know. So then, our last award for great shot calling, our honor goes to Supermassive's Snowflower. Raz, you said from the start, this is a guy we needed to keep our eyes on, and it came true.
Because he does so much in his role. Remember, protecting Zeitnot. Zeitnot is the AD carry for the team, so he's able to protect them, get the straight 2v2s mid. But then he also goes straight towards the mid lane. He could help out GBM a little bit. And then he guides Stone Mage going point to point, getting great vision control. He's the person you watch if you want to see great control on the map for the squad.
Best support in the play-ins?
Oh, hell yeah. Best player in the play-ins is what I said, but I don't know. Scout keeps getting killed.
Yeah, you said that before.
It's always tough. It's always tough with these damn people that gold.
Especially when you're the support.
Yeah.
Harder to shine.
Sad days.
Alrighty, well, we're going to see if Supermassive Snowflower can produce a similar performance in Game 1 versus G2 as the TCL champions aim to secure the first seed from Group B. The stakes are easy for them if they win. This first game versus G2, they are locked in first seed no matter what. They can even stand to lose versus Ascension later. Well, after we saw on what we saw from them rather on day 1, I think it should be doable. They looked incredibly strong. We expected them to be strong, but the biggest surprise for me was how controlled they played out those games, how slow, how good of a feel they had for the macro games.
Incredibly focused. Coach Irian should get a lot of credit because the draft was very well done. It incorporated GBM's strength of being that X factor, and it allowed them to just play around that mid lane so heavily, and the 2v2s is what really got them the kill. It solidified it, that they're able to just dominate the bottom lane of G2 so easily.
I mean, that's one of the huge points, that they do have a winning matchup that should consistently go in their favor, even as they load up into today's game. You have to keep your eyes on the bot lane, especially Zeitnot.
Yeah, Zeitnot and Snowflower together are just incredibly hard to go up against. They are strong in lane, CS differentials through the roof, the damage brunt that is shared by Zeitnot at Worlds, and honestly, every time we saw him on an international stage, he's been this good. But I want to see him take the next step, and I want to see him up against the world-class AD carries in the group stage, possibly.
100%. That's what I want to see, too. The stat point that we just saw, which was a large kill participation, really showcases that the team has so much faith in him that they just play through bottom lane. Fabulous, if he's in the top side of the map, he's holding his teleport just so he can get to that bot side of the map. So that's what I love to see. There's so much consistency out of that roster. It makes it so they, stay focused. Maybe they can get the wins and come out first in this group.
And bot lane is going to be so important in this matchup as well, because on the other side of the rift, we've got the third seed from the EULCS, G2 Esports, who want to avoid entering knockouts as the second seed at all costs. If they want to get the first seed, they have to win versus Supermassive, win versus Ascension, and if Supermassive win versus Ascension, win versus Supermassive again. And Mark, it is so important for them to try and avoid the first seed in the best of 5.
Yeah, all those look like really tough matchups. And in order to do that, I think I'm looking at Perks to step up a little bit more. I think he has been one of the better performing members on G2 thus far, but he is this team's star in my eyes. And stars are expected to shine, and I don't think he's quite done that yet. He's had some reasonable performances, but he kind of needs to become one of the biggest carries for this team, I think, in order for them to win.
And for me, I think he can come out of this and say that at least I can change up the draft there. The entire enemy composition when they went up against Supermassive was to nullify him. It was Jankos that was given so much freedom, had such a large lead, and the pathing really didn't give his teammates a proper leg up. I remember talking about the fact that he prioritized his experience going to Krugs when his entire team was the top side. That is so important if your team's focus should be there. So for Jankos, if you have that lead, ownership's on you to be able to get the win.
And I think for me, also just wonder, I want to see more out of him as well. Not really, I think, his fault. He got stuck on that Scion pick in the first game, which is a very strong champion, but he seems to be at his best on the fighters, trying to dominate lanes, and to see him not on the Aatrox or the Urgot or getting a counter pick into those was really disappointing for me in that game. And I think that was kind of what they were referencing when some of the G2 players did interviews afterwards, saying they felt like their win conditions were limited. It was basically Perks on a Akali, and then he kind of got counterpicked and focused down. For you guys, it's much the same story as I heard at day 1. You guys said we need to see a lot out of the top side of G2. It seems to be the same story. You just want those guys to perform, and should that be enough to win? Because it looks like they had no chance versus Supermassive in game 1 on the first day. They just got blown out of the water from minute 1. So what is like the first thing they have to do when they get into game?
First thing they got to do, just be confident that your early game last time was very strong. That's a base that you can work off of. I think even though I heavily criticize Jankos, his early games are still incredibly strong. So if it's just going to be through 2v2's mid, it should be a success. I actually have them coming out with a victory for this first game.
Well, let's look at predictions, and now that you call it up, predictions for G2. Boom. Well, Raz, last time you had the faith in Supermassive, so I think I voted for G2, obviously, because I believe that the third seed from EULCS, after what I saw in the Gauntlet, has more to do if they focus in on a strong early game. But I'm also not going to lie and say that I think this is a 100% win. I think they should edge out, but they're going to have a different game plan today. Yeah, and well, what's nice is you're on red side, so you don't have to worry about GBM's counter pick largely neutralizing Perks, and then you can potentially let up some of these power picks, because it does feel like Fabulous is a little bit more on the tank duty side of things, and so maybe that can free up Wonder as well. So I do think they have a lot of avenues forward. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really close matchup between the two, and remember, these are just best of 1 situations. G2 really got a lot of information last time around. They have a better grasp of the meta, and I think that's what's going to
live.
We're putting a lot of stock into things looking very different than they did on day one. It happened yesterday.
All three of us predicting them scares me because it feels like that kind of underdog, right? As everyone believes in them.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out.
Now they're the underdogs. Let's see if that works out better for G2 because it wasn't that nice on day one. SuperMassive were super strong and they are just one win away from securing the first seed. Let's see if they can pull it off as we send it to Captain Flowers and Vedius to kick off the day.
Thank you very much, Shocks, and hello everybody watching out there. Welcome to the final day of the play-in group stage. I'm Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, joined by the man in the van for the upcoming Flowers 11 Heist Trilogy, coming to a theater near you. This is my stakeout partner. As we get into the games today, Andrew, Vedius, Day, are you ready?
Why am I the getaway car, Flowers? Why aren't I involved in the heist?
I need a good driver. All right, there's a lot of, Europe's got a lot of fancy cars. I figure you've probably driven some of them. Hopefully you've got some good experience with that, and you've got an American driver's license so you don't get pulled over, and we got this, and we're ready to go.
Well, the people who we're looking at in terms of experience are G2 because they need to bounce back. SuperMassive, they looked clean in